Hello everyone, it's Fluffy, and I'm back after my final exams so I can start playing some more Advance Wars by Web and making videos on it. I think I'm mostly going to be playing some Sonja live queue right now, and I already have a few games, some of which I will not show. I'm simply saving them in this program for now. But let's go with let's start with one of the more fun ones I had. The map is Palatine Tier 3 Standard. And I went Sonja because, well, I just said I would play Sonja only, but on this map, the bases are incredibly close. A single tank turn overlaps the tiles in the center, so there's going to be a lot of fighting and you will need a very aggressive CO. Some of you may recognize from a little bit on Go7's stream as he was stalking live games and chilling. I was losing to a Grim against my Eagle, which on a small map like this, honestly, I think Sonja would have an edge over Eagle. At least, I would certainly play Sonja. I'm more than willing to play Sonja against Eagle on this map. But yeah, let's just begin. I'll have my units face the left, Kindle's unit face the right. Kindle's a pretty good choice since she's very aggressive early game, and you would definitely like the day-to-day with how much fighting's going on. But I would also make an argument that Lash could potentially be very strong as well. There are so many forests on the sides, and the forests are placed in such a way that it's very annoying to move your vehicles across. Additionally, there's also a silo at the center and two mountains by the two big cities. I would say Lash is a pretty good pick here as well, possibly even stronger than Kindle, considering the cities aren't really at the front lines. It's pretty hard to change, have the cities switch hands once you take them, and you will find out. Anyway, let's begin. I forgot my hotkeys. So we have Kindle starting with 2 infantry, which is pretty normal. I go into the forest, getting closer to capture this city. Build 2 infantry as well. Kindle goes for the turn 1 capture. I do the same. I do a loop-de-loop and begin capturing the city because I can. And I go for my turn 1 back caps as well. There's an argument to be made for going for more forward caps, but I don't think it will really accomplish much moving forward rather than back. I definitely want my income right away. Kindle went for the forward cap, which just a different capture order. Now, I have 2 choices with this infantry up here. I could move to the left and start capturing the properties on the left side, or I could go down to the port. And what I chose is based on what my opponent picked. Kindle did not go for a day 3 recon, and if you watched Grim against my Eagle, Grim went for the recon and it caused a lot of problems. But because there's no recon, instead of moving my infantry to the port, which I would say is the choice I would pick if there was a recon, I decide to go for these properties on the side. No recon harassments means I can definitely go for them. I, however, went for the recon because recons are amazing on this map. Alright, Kindle goes for the forward cap, like I said, goes for this base. I did cancel the capture on the city for my base, which of course I would, why would I not? And due to the way I'll mention it next turn. when it actually happens. So this is pretty much just a normal capture game. I decided to use the penguin on the back to capture this forward city, and Kindle already has an infantry ready to capture because she did not go for the turn 3 recon. Kindle built a first tank in response to my recon, and there's something a little annoying with this capture order that I picked, where this penguin wants to go forward, but it can't go the full path. So we end up like this. Now, if I skipped the turn 1 back cap and went forward instead, maybe I could avoid this problem entirely, but I wasn't sure if Kindle was going recon day 3, which recons are really strong. So, well, we just have to deal with it. It's better to deal with this than to deal with a recon, in my opinion. And Kindle has to deal with that and the recon. I decided to go... Thinking on this now, I probably could have sat on this road tile instead of the one I'm actually at. If I went one tile up and to the left, I could potentially, maybe, just maybe, trick the tank to go up, then proceed to go down anyway. But it is a live game, so stuff happens. I built my tank because I need a tank to counter Kindle tanks. While it might look like I am down a tier against Kindle, I am, but Sonja is actually not that bad with her early aggression. In fact, I will argue Sonja is one of the more aggressive COs in tier 4. At least she has to be aggressive or she will just lose. And I will show why that is the case with how my recon and tank moves. So I moved my recon on the city because I want it to be annoying. I am denying this capture, and the tank could strike my recon, but I have a tank covering my recon. My tank is also out of range of Kindle's second tank. The only bad thing is I don't have my comm tower, whereas Kindle will get her comm tower first, like a whole 2 turns earlier. So there is a little risk in what I'm doing, and maybe I could have went for this capture sooner instead of going for this city. I did choose to go for this city because this city is 1 turn attack range from a base. It is also 1 turn's defense range, but you could just see how much a day-to-day would matter. Maybe not so much Kindle's day-to-day, because Kindle would be attacking and defending from the plains. In this case, like, there's not enough movement to go to the city, but there is enough movement to cover all the tiles around it. So this is one of the situations where Lash would probably be better if we're fighting in the center. And the thing about this infantry on the mountain, I chose to put my infantry on the road so I have the option to go for the far side property or the more centralized property. Kindle, in her previous turn, moved from the city to the mountain instead of to the road, and as a result, cannot reach this city this turn, which is good for me. And I decide to go for I'm really going for the airports because I don't want to have my airport denied. But I do go for this city first. And I begin capturing my comm tower. Hopefully I'm not too late because it looks like the fight is about to begin here. Especially what I'm about to do. I move my recon onto this city to block the city even more. And my tank is out of range of Kindle's second tank, so I won't get a 2-hit. The thing about Sonja's count, I also base skip for this tank, by the way. I think it's worth it. The reason why Kindle would hesitate to attack my tank is because I have a plus 50% counterattack, so this is effectively another Kindle tank, but with a chance of bad luck. And I move my next tank in with another tank, and I say what I'm expecting to happen when I made this move was to have this tank strike my tank, this tank strike my tank on the city. And the reason why I was thinking that is because this infantry could block the path from my tank to reinforce. But that will also mean Kindle will have to cancel this capture, which I'm also fine with. So I would be losing tanks though, because my third tank can't respond to this attack, and both my tanks will get first struck, but I think it's worth it to deny these properties for so long. That's exactly how it ended up, and we could see how the Sonja counterattack is very powerful. This would be pretty much the exact same trade if Kindle was the one on the city. So in this case, my Sonja is actually better than Kindle because I also got the counterattack from the road rather than just a property. It's not as strong as if it's from the property because I took more damage on the first strike, but it's still stronger than how much Kindle would be able to counterattack. The nice thing is Kindle did step off this property, so this city is delayed, which I also have an infantry ready to delay it even further. And this recon gets to go off free. I begin capturing these properties, I capture my comm tower, so now I can finally fight back with full force. Unfortunately, there is no way to clear this infantry, but I think it's fine. Losing one more tank than I kill is worth delaying all of these properties. I delayed all of 3 of these properties by at least a turn at this point. I decide to kill off this tank. And the reason why I went for this recon strike is because this tank would like to kill my tank, this other tank would like to kill my other tank, so my recon is pretty much free to do whatever it wants unless otherwise one of my tanks can get away. So I decided to shoot one at the road because I would do the most damage to an infantry on the road. It's also in the easiest position to retreat out of the fight afterwards. I interrupt this capture because, just like I said earlier about the tanks are too busy firing at my tanks to deal with the infantry battles. And I reinforce the area with more infantry, once again because Kindle tanks are occupied this turn, which means I could kill a lot of infantry in this area, ultimately denying these properties and delaying the airport. I learned my mistake against Grim of stubbornly trying not to build a recon while a recon wrecked my left side. So, in other words, I pretty much just stole what my opponent did to me, but I'm doing it to other people. And that's why you shouldn't be afraid to lose, because losing means it's an opportunity to learn from others. Yes, it's learning, not stealing. Definitely. 6-6 trade, just like the 6-6 trade down here. We could see my day-to-day is not too far behind Kindle. A 6-5 trade. I'm pretty sure this is a Sonja exclusive, where I must have rolled really high despite my bad luck. Or maybe it's just because it's on the road and these are on the plains tiles. Who knows? Either way, we could see how the Sonja counterattack is pretty painful. Tank kills my tank, tank kills my tank. I'm effectively down 2 tanks in exchange for 3 damage off this tank and delaying these property captures. I think it's worth it. I considered doing recon fires at this infantry, and then my tank sits on this. But I decided it might not be a good idea. Kindle now has 4 living tanks compared to my 2. It is my turn and I can build a third one, but it seems a little dangerous going this close into Kindle, especially if my tank will be sitting on the property where a normal power is about to arrive. Ultimately, I chose to sit on the airport. This is something Kindle could do as well, but I'm Sonja, which means I'm effectively Kindle here, without being Kindle. I retreat my recon to a safe position, sit on the silo, something that Kindle won't get the firepower bonus, but I do because I will be counterattacking. And I join my infantry because a healthy infantry can take more damage and counterattack much harder. So that was really my basis for joining. There's no way I can really stand against 5 infantry with only 2. So I believe joining is the right call. I got my airports just in time before any Kindle infantry can interrupt. And I built more tanks. I stand on the mountains because mountains can be very annoying to deal with. I'm stronger than Lash infantry on the mountain too. I felt really evil doing this because I know Kindle does not want to attack into this. Someone who plays Kindle knows how annoying it is to attack a Kindle on a property. So attacking a Sonja on a property from a shoal tile, that's gotta be even more painful. You might get another 6-5 trade like we did up here earlier. So this infantry dies, which must have been I think it was a high roll. It was a 10 HP plus a 6 HP, killing a full HP infantry on the road. Tank sits on this property, and 2 HP infantry blocks my tank. Now I'm expecting Kindle to get an artillery to deal with this tank, so that's what I'm expecting, but I will be delaying this airport for much longer, and maybe I can rescue the tank by going aggressive on this area again. I am Sonja, and there's not a lot of properties if I fight over here. The only property would be this one. The only 2 properties I would have to deal with are these 2, which I'm not really planning to fight on this one. So there's really only one property Kindle can take advantage of, whereas I get to take advantage of my global day-to-day of 50% counter attack. Kindle instead builds an anti-air, which I think is a bit early. We don't need an anti-air if I don't have a copter. And if I do have a copter, building an anti-air here will, at the same turn, would definitely be perfectly fine. It's not like my copter will have to spend a turn moving down there anyway. So it's not. This anti-air might be a little premature. An artillery on this base and moving to this city would definitely be a better build order in my opinion. I kill this infantry, I get the city, I move my tanks in, no fear. Well, a little bit of fear since I do not want a first strike and then a second strike kill my tank kind of situation. And the reason why I don't want that is because I'm not going to be covering this tank with a newly built tank. I want to build a copter which will pretty much finish off all the infantry on the top left corner. And then I built 3 infantries. Just in case. I also do not want to keep my tank on the silo because 2 tanks will definitely beat a tank even if the tank is on a defensive position. So I decide to move on to this forest, which will also support my infantry on the left. Kindle moves another infantry over to block this tank on the airport. And finally builds the artillery. I still think it should be built a turn sooner, But here it is. Over here, these two infantry are pretty much dead. I really would not expect any way to save them if I was Kindle here. I probably would have tried to target the full HP infantries to delay the captures, just like how I've been delaying this area with my recon. And, well, technically this is a full HP hit, and Kindle kills it, so I guess it's fine. But maybe the 6 HP infantry could delay this property. And at this point, I don't see myself saving this tank, so I thought it pretty much did its job. Might as well kill this infantry. And here I considered actually trying to save it. But yeah, it did its job sitting here. I'll just leave it here to I'll just leave it here. Instead, I went for these infantry kills because I can. And I send my copter to the right because the anti-air is going to the left. My copter probably would have went to the same spot, or it would have killed these infantry. But either way, an anti-air being built this turn instead of the tank, it would have had the same effect on my battlecopter. My battlecopter would pretty much not really do anything. I did move my tank on this forest. One thing annoying, like I said about this map and these forests, is that this tank can't move into this forest. The double forests are really horrible for tank movement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It wants to go another one so we can reach the forest, but it can't. Ultimately, I had to settle with just sitting onto this forest, which covers this tank. And then I begin moving down here again. There is still some hope of saving this tank, but mostly it's because Kindle tanks are lining up on the left side, which means maybe I can start doing something on the right again. I built another tank, and just 2 more infantries. Kindle once again blocks my tank in. There is a little bit of a misplay on my end, but I don't think it made much of a difference. I could have had this recon be... No, I couldn't. I probably would have needed to put it on the forest. But if the recon was on the forest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... No, it still can't reach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... Oh wait, it can. It can reach this an infantry sitting on this tile, so I probably should have moved it on this forest instead. But then again, it could have just easily gotten shot by a tank. Kindle used Urban Blight here, injures my tank here. It's my infantry, my tank here isn't actually at 1 HP. It's just how Sonja's interface is, where for some reason it shows 1 right after a Kindle Urban Blight, but it's really at 7. And it updates the next turn after the repairs. And I begin capturing this city. Urban Blight damaged it. Fortunately, I have a 2 HP infantry nearby, which... Well, let's look at this fight first. I go on the mountain, fire. I get rid of this infantry. I then decide to start attacking. And I kill off 2 tanks. And here's what I'm thinking. I don't have my counter break, but I do have my normal power. If I use normal power and put my recon onto this road, the tank cannot kill it. So I really considered using a Sonja normal power here, until I realized an infantry can sit on a mountain, and it pretty much guarantees a kill on the recon, which means the anti-air will reach the copter anyway. So ultimately I chose not to use my Sonja normal power, and instead chose to continue attacking infantry here. All the tanks will be busy in combat up here, so my recon pretty much gets a free shot. I joined my infantry. Like I said, Urban Blight damaged it, but I had a 2 HP infantry nearby. So it's now a full HP infantry, ready to capture the city. And I have a tank ready to protect that capture. A tank could fire on my tank up here, but then again, I am Sonja, and on a forest tile, my counterattack would still be very strong. And this tank would probably be happier helping the main fight, so I think it's perfectly fine that I sit here in a position to move over and block the cap. I send more infantry down. Kindle just used her power, so I'm not expecting another Urban Blight. I built a medium tank, double base skip for that, but a medium tank because I'm expecting the fight to continue over here for a very long time. Double base skipping does mean I'm now behind in unit count, but I think it's fine. I lose my tank on the airport, but both of these infantries are injured, so the airport will be delayed for a very long time. Kindle goes after my property, kills my battlecopter as expected. Unfortunately, due to the positioning of the... Unfortunately for Kindle, I mean, due to the positioning of my units, the tanks can never get a 2-hit KO here. There's only one direction each of these tanks can hit. Alternatively, a tank could go to this forest and kill my 4 HP infantry, then get a 2-hit KO onto this tank. But either way, only 2 tanks are getting tank strikes. Well, I guess this one could go up there still. But I'm fine with this. Kindle didn't break through anything. Plus, I could just join my tanks, which will be very annoying, especially their HP should be hidden. The feature is a little bugged on Advanced Wars by Web right now, where sometimes my opponent can see my HP, and sometimes my own HP is hidden from me until I refresh the page. But in theory, joining my tanks would be very annoying because you can't really keep track of the HP now that my power bar is full. Normally you could keep track of the HP by seeing how much my power bar changes, but the full power bar, you just don't know my HP. Kindle builds another artillery, probably in response to the medium tank. The income on this map is very low, which makes it very difficult for stall CEOs as well. In addition to the bases being very close, we could see that the income, even if all the properties are captured, it would be a 15k split, which is not a lot. But I managed to get a medium tank, which I'm happy with. And Kindle doesn't. I go for this city, and I'm considering using my Sonja super, but I'm not sure if I need it. I continue killing off infantry. I join my 2 tanks here. My medium tank goes after the anti-air because why not? And I maintain a nice wall here. I ultimately chose not to use the super, and the reason being is I have a nice wall. Kindle can only attack these tanks from one direction, which means it's pretty safe and secure. So I don't really need my super. I really don't think Kindle will strike here. Kindle built an artillery, which is more a passive defensive unit, so the only thing a super would get me would probably be this tank strike on the left. And I ultimately chose to not use my super because if Kindle strikes, I could then use my super the next turn. Well, here's what I'm thinking. Kindle strikes my tank, somehow gets Urban Blight, delays my capture, and threatens to interrupt it the turn after with another tank strike. But if I get first struck here, I would survive at around 5, I'm guessing. Then I use counter break. This 5 HP tank would then first strike the 7 or 8 HP tank on the forest, and that tank would probably survive at 5 and not be able to kill this tank, which means I will get this capture. That's what I'm thinking. So I chose not to use my super. I decided to instead build another battlecopter. And I'm doing what's called the poisoned unit tactic, where you want to get rid of it because it's very annoying. But to do so means one of your valuable units will have to be far away from the fight. So the only thing that can kill this recon right now is this tank, which means it will be all the way in this corner, and it's pretty much not fighting in the center, which is the important thing. Kindle strikes my tank, 5-7 trade, pretty normal. Kindle cancels the capture and kills my infantry. Tank strikes at my infantry, tank kills the recon. Kindle is 100% not attacking into my wall here, and instead just reinforces the walls. Now, at this point, this is a live game, I'm seeing this happen. I'm thinking artillery sits on this plains tile. Never mind. Artillery sits on this plains tile. Never mind. Where's this artillery going to go? I didn't know. It ended up going over here. This feels a little too passive for me, in my opinion. I think I would have definitely placed it forward. But what this means is I'm going to get a bunch of infantry kills. I decide because I'm going in, my tanks would not be in this defensive wall position anymore. Therefore, I use my superpower. Battlecopter attacks from a direction that anti-air can't attack from. Get rid of this infantry. I capture the city. I ultimately stay and defend because I'm like, I have counter break. My tank can sit here. If anything, it also means that another tank would be busy, occupied fighting at this corner and not really where I'm attacking. So I go in, I get this kill, and I send my medium tank. I choose to fire at the 7 HP infantry because it's a guaranteed kill and I want to clear out the walls. I don't like Kindle having more unit count than me. So yeah, mostly just clearing out units. Injuring this one because it's the healthiest infantry nearby, and I would delay this airport a little longer. I begin moving my mech. And more infantry, because the income is just so low on this map. I only get 1 copter. Kindle strikes anyway. I thought my tank would survive because counter break, but it didn't. Either way, it did its job at helping me take this capture. Oh, my infantry actually did 1 damage here. Didn't even realize because it was a live game. Now I'm looking at this position and I'm thinking I could easily break this tank, and then my medium tank could strike this artillery. But then it would get struck by this artillery. So I did much of the attack planning on my opponent's turn, so I still had a pretty strong time advantage on my turn. Ultimately, I chose if Kindle's defending this area, then I should just not attack this area and instead go left, where there's less defenses. This is pretty much a free tank kill here. There's no response to the medium tank. I send my copters to the left. And ultimately, I chose a small defense. It's a mech on a mountain, a Sonja mech on the mountain, so this mech would probably be very difficult to dislodge. I think my base is pretty safe here. And I built a second mech just to deter Kindle attacks. I built an artillery of my own. Normally you want to build artillery early so they could get into position. But on a map like this where the front line is really close, I think it's fine. It will help defend this area if Kindle chooses to attack. Kindle starts going after my property on the right. I think it's perfectly fine for me because I have 3 turns to respond. Well, 3 or 4 turns, however you want to look at it. Kindle joins C's tank and I immediately knew it must be a medium tank on the way. Which makes sense because artillery, I don't think, with my ability to front shift, I think artillery might be a bit too slow. And Kindle once again shifts everything to the left, responding to my medium tank. At this point, I'm thinking maybe, based on the way Kindle is moving around, maybe I can manipulate Kindle to do what I want, because Kindle seems to be playing very defensively right now, especially against my medium tank. I thought I would be front shifting to the right again. When I saw the shift to the left, I was thinking of shifting to the right. Unfortunately, my most advanced tiles for my medium tank is blocked off by the artillery, so I had to settle for the silo. Kindle does not want to be attacking me there because it's as if Kindle is attacking from the plains tile against another Kindle on a property. In this case, it's just a Sonja with a silo. Same thing, no difference. And I decide to start marching my mechs down because I have a huge infantry wall now, and artillery backing up my infantry wall. I shifted everything to the left last turn, now I'm shifting it back to the right. It's that simple. I was careful not to sit on the property because Kindle normal power. Not like Kindle can use this property against me anyway. And I built triple infantry because, well, I know you shouldn't be using doing triple infantry in anticipation for a Kindle normal power, but floating some money isn't necessarily bad considering I did have a strong standing army. This city starts getting captured, but I think it's fine because I could easily move infantry onto this forest and then artillery behind that infantry to aim it at the city, which means I would be up income, 2k income. Kindle also starts advancing to the left side. And here's what I'm thinking. Kindle is dividing her army, which means if I just focus on one army, I could wipe that out. And that will be winning because, well, I will kill half of Kindle's units. But which army to kill is the question. I could go left and my medium tank could strike this artillery right now. But I don't want to attack into that because it's so close to these two bases. It's very close to the bases and I don't like fighting against bases. However, on the other side, the airport's about to be captured, but I think I can block it in time. There's only one base that can reinforce it if I block this forest tile. This anti-air is moving through the annoying path of going the long way around, so I know Kindle is desperately trying to get some air defenses here. Ultimately, I chose to head to the right. Once again, these are Sonja infantry. Kindle doesn't know the HP of them. Artillery sits on the plains like I said. Battlecopters start flying in because the anti-airs is not around yet. And I know Kindle will use an Urban Blight to save this property. Well, maybe not. But I built a bomber, so I'm really expecting an Urban Blight just to damage my bomber. Here comes the Urban Blight. Delays all of these captures. This infantry is actually at 7. No, Urban Blight did not reduce my HP to 1. But that would be OP if it did. And that's why I say Go 7's custom CO is more overpowered than this. Well, I wouldn't say overpowered, but very annoying to deal with if you know what his custom CO is. Ultimately, Kindle continues dividing the army further. building another anti-air to have an anti-air buddy against my bomber, which makes sense. Fortunately, I noticed that the anti-air does not cover the tank. So I bomb it. It's that simple. Sonja infantry, go! Aww. It was worth a try. I get this shot. Look at this. This is even worse than Kindle attacking me because I have bad luck here. But I continue capturing this. It's almost as if I did an urban blight myself, but at a cost of an infantry. Therefore, Sonja is just Kindle. I kill off this infantry on the airport, then I block the airport. The anti-air could kill it, but I'm fine with that because I'm thinking maybe I can just capture Kindle's airport here. I have plenty of infantry nearby. And my mech marching is getting pretty close to this area. Kindle can't really attack me in here because my medium tank is not really responded. There's no real medium tank response here. And I have way too much infantry I can easily break Kindle's wall here with my infantry. And Kindle kills off this infantry, and anti-air moves up. Therefore, this anti-air will likely move up as well. Strangely, it did not. I suppose anti-air is the only way to save this property. But that means I can just bomb it with my anti-air now. I'm thinking 2 HP sacks and then full HP interrupts this capture completely. And then bomber bombs the airport, the anti-air, but that was this game. Kindle resigned here, probably because, well, Kindle has to retreat even further. Otherwise, my infantry will kill the walls, and then my medium tank will start getting hits. Alternatively, if Kindle does retreat, I could just bomb this anti-air, then do another front shift to the left again. I probably won't because I want this airport. But the threat is there to kill this anti-air, then my bomber and all my ground units could wipe everything out over here again. While also winning me this city, which would just put me at an even greater advantage. Ultimately, I think I definitely enjoyed this game because I was pulling a lot of Kindle shenanigans as Sonja, but then there are some Sonja exclusives where I'm fine with getting first struck only because I know my counterattack would do so much damage back. It just goes to show how offensive Sonja is, and Sonja doesn't really have a pretty strong power. The power can easily be countered by simply not attacking into Sonja, or attacking with unit counters like battlecopters onto tanks. But the day-to-day, it can get you a lot, as can be seen by how I was able to... Kindle could do this too, like sitting on the property as well, but Kindle could not sit on the road and feel fine with it. Kindle could not sit on the silo over here and feel fine with it. Especially later on when I sat on the silo again with my medium tank. It firmly controls the center, which means my army can just front shift to the right or front shift to the left. I pretty much could do whatever I wanted simply because of my Sonja day-to-day. So that was this game. There will be more Sonja games, and maybe one Eagle game, and maybe I'll also stream Sonja Live Queue, but that's just a maybe. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!